All right, let's talk to Sheil Kapadia. He does phenomenal work for The Ringer. And needless to say, the Eagles' offensive coordinator search. Sheil, I just want to make sure it's still going, right? They didn't sign anybody in the last 2 minutes, right?
I think so, yeah.
What if that were the way we broke the news? Sheil just comes on and says, actually.
You can let me know, yeah.
So good. Sheil, how are you, pal?
Doing well. This coordinator search rages on. Sixers get a win last night, dreaming of Philly season. So that's where we are in late January.
For sure, man. I'm going to do a little bit of all that with you, but let's start coordinator. There are people, and I'm one of them, that's made the point concerning to wait this long. You're feeling like you're missing out, not getting what you want. Might not even know what you want. And then there's folks that say, no, this is just part of the course. This is what you do. Ross Tucker even made the point to say, interview a ton of people to get free expertise all around the league, on the league and your team and all that sort of stuff. Where do you come down on whether it is or is not concerning that it's taken so long?
Yeah, I do think casting a wide net is smart because, this isn't just for this process. You hear all the time, it might be 2 years from now, they're looking for a coach or they're looking for a coordinator, and they say, hey, man, this guy really impressed us back in 2026. We didn't think he was ready yet, but now he's had a couple more years of experience under his belt. So I do think that's a valuable experience just to kind of see where the league's going, what the trends are, what coaches you like. Now, having said that, I'm not going to do Eagles PR for you, and we know that they had some top targets on their list, and they didn't get those guys. And so now you look at the names that are remaining, and it's tough for me to say, hey, if they still land this guy, it's going to be a home run. So now you go from maybe getting an established coordinator who you felt like, hey, you can just hand the keys to this guy for the offense to someone who's going to be much more of an unknown. It doesn't mean that can't work. It doesn't mean they can't nail it, but there's a lot more uncertainty than there was when this search first started.
Nick's influence on the offense, how big a problem has that been, as far as you can tell, for finding a guy here? How strong was Nick's contribution to the way the offense worked this year, and how strong do you think it'll be moving forward based on what they're looking for?
Yeah, I think it's part of it. I think if you're an offensive coordinator candidate and you say, I can go to a team that has sort of a defensive-minded head coach where I'm really going to get to do what I want, or I can go to Philadelphia where a guy's feeling the heat a little bit and does have an offensive background. Maybe I would rather go to the defensive coach. But I really don't think it's just Nick. I think that's a part of it, but you also look at it organizationally. This is structured around the GM and the owner making a lot of the calls in terms of the staff and the other aspects of the organization. You have an offensive line coach who's tremendous in Jeff Stoutland, but he's also the run game coordinator. So you might look at it here and say, well, there are a lot of kind of things in place there where maybe I wouldn't get the freedom to do all the things I want to do. And, of course, Nick factors into that as well.
So, Sheil, one thing that's bugged me in this process is okay, so I think, and I think most people would agree, the pressure of being in Philly is probably, fans, media, et cetera, is probably a factor that has dissuaded some people from wanting to be here. And one thing that has annoyed me is there are some folks, James has said this, others have said this, like if you're of that mindset, I don't want you. And I don't view it that way. And I'll give you a comparison, Sheil. In politics, I think we all know if it wasn't so hot, the conversation's so hot, there's a lot of people in America that would choose to enter politics, but you don't want to drag your family into it and this into it and this into it. And so good candidates potentially say, I'm not going there because it's too hot for me. And I kind of equate it to this situation, and I think it hurts the Eagles, Sheil. And I think the mindset that well, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you. I don't agree with that. Talk to me, Sheil. What do you make of that?
Well, maybe
issue?
It's different, though. Like the way that you're viewing it, maybe potential OC candidates are looking this as GM first instead of coach first.
Well, that's a different topic. Sheil, what do you make of the intensity of Philadelphia?
I think it kind of is the same topic, and let me try to explain it here because I think that I don't know if this is the messaging coming from the team or the NovaCare complex. I keep hearing, it's a tough city and the fan base and the media. Maybe they need to look in the mirror a little bit and say, is this a great place to work for potential coaches? Is it? Or is the pressure inside the building and the scrutiny inside the building and the experiences of coaches who might have talked to somebody like Brian Johnson or Kevin Patullo or Sean Desai or assistants on previous staffs who might say, all right, there are a lot of benefits there, but that is a different building just with the politics inside the building.
That's what I'm saying.
Outside the building. So,
Yeah.
I think this is a bit of spin. And again, I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Joe. I'm sure there is a coordinator out there who says there's a lot of pressure in Philadelphia and Kevin Patullo's house got egged and I don't want any part of it. I'm sure I don't think that's the reason why they're not landing any coordinator. So I feel like that's a little bit of deflection from the organization, is how I see it.
You think the organization's fueling...
From the organization.
Oh, wow. Sheil
Interesting.
thinks the same thing.
Sheil, do you think the organization's fueling that narrative?
The one about the media and the fans and it's a pressure cooker type
Yes.
thing? I don't know that for a fact. That wouldn't shock me because I know just in the past that there are people in the building who feel that way, who feel like this is a very tough environment and city to work in. And, sometimes when things aren't going well, they do blame those things. And I always thought it was, I always thought it was out of line, but I couldn't tell you for sure where that's coming from. But it's good. When I see national reporters kind of run with it, that makes my, my antenna go up a little bit.
But it makes it even worse. When Nick is perceived as a guy who has very little power to begin with, and then these coaches come in from the outside and get a view of just how he's minimized to some degree. I can't imagine a top coach coming in and seeing that. And again, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I want to be respected for my football acumen, not minimized and put in a corner essentially, and I feel like that could be working against them.
You could look at that either way, though. I will say that because you could look at Vic Fangio, and he probably looked at it and said, Howie Roseman's hiring me. Nick Sirianni's not going to tell me what to do. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to go somewhere where there's a powerful head coach who's jumping into my defensive meetings and telling me let's do this and let's do that. So that actually can go either way, although I do understand what you're saying.
Gets trickier, though, on the offensive side of the ball from which Sirianni came. So a little bit of an issue. Sheil, who do you want? Of those that are available, can you give us two or three names you think, boom, 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 these would be good? And is there anybody you can say, boom, 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 these would be bad?
Oh, man. It's, there's a lot of, a guy like Sean Mannion, who they were linked to yesterday, who is the quarterback's coach of the Packers. Like, I can't tell you if that guy's going to be a great offensive coordinator or not. Now, can I give you two names that are just totally outside the box, that haven't been linked to the Eagles at all, that have no reporting on? But I would say if you're bringing in 100 candidates, why not have a conversation with these two guys? Here are two names. One is Greg Olson, the Fox color commentator, former tight end in the NFL. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I listen to him for 3 hours every Sunday. Mm-hmm. That guy knows football. He's a former player. He's the son of a legendary high school football coach in New Jersey. I'm not telling you he'd be a slam dunk, but I would have a conversation with him. It seems like he is interested in coaching. And the other guy is somebody who Nick Sirianni has a connection to, former quarterback, Phillip Rivers. He interviewed for the Bills head coaching job, and I'm looking at that. He withdrew his name. He obviously didn't get that. But I'm looking at it going, you know what? He's coached with Shane Steichen. He's close with Shane Steichen. He knows that scheme very well, that Jalen Hurts played really well in. He's someone who would have kind of the credibility with the quarterback like Jalen Hurts to say, no, I've been in your shoes. I know how to do this. And he has a relationship with Nick Sirianni. So, again, those are totally outside the box, no link to the Eagles at all. But as I'm trying to think about this, hey, who is someone who Eagles fans might be excited about? Those are two names that came to mind.
I'd be wary.
What about Josh Grizzard? Josh Grizzard coming from Tampa, guy who has called plays for Baker Mayfield and had some success there. Those guys that you mentioned, they haven't had the play calling experience that I would like. Grizzard has it, but is he impressive to you otherwise?
Well, they fired him after this year, so that's not a great sign. But he has done it before. He was in Tampa, a couple of years ago. There were reports that he was kind of in charge of their third down packages, which were very successful a couple of years ago. And they were very injured this last year with guys on the offensive line, with Baker Mayfield, with wide receivers. So I can't tell you that would be a home run. but I don't think that's one where I say, no, that guy doesn't know what he's doing either. And honestly, that's the case with a lot of these guys. You know, you look at them and you go, all right, that could work out, but I'm not totally sure that, they would come in and I would say, oh, this is a home run and this guy's going to fix their offense. Those guys just don't seem to be out there anymore.
Or they didn't come to town.
Yep, that's right. Sheil Kapadia, as he is every Wednesday with us. Sheil, let's bounce around a couple quickies in different directions. If you're a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter and Belichick's name's in front of you on a ballot, are you checking yes or no?
I mean, come on. Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, that I've been trying to read up on this, and it sounds, there's Bill Polian is involved, and he's a rival of Bill Belichick, and did he have some influence on some of the voters here and say, hey, he should have a 1-year penalty for the Spygate stuff? Was there other stuff where voters said, hey, he's going to get in anyway, let me vote for these other 3 people? So it seems like a very strange process.
Yep.
But, yeah, I don't think that's a long conversation about whether or not Bill Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you. I mean, Rhea does make good points on the cheating stuff, but
the whole notion, Sheil, my thing is he's going to get in. But the whole notion that the entire NFL world is so upset that the Hall has been embarrassed, and I'm going, the guy was caught cheating multiple times. So badly by Spygate, Roger Goodell burned the tapes, but that's not embarrassing.
And they lost a first-round pick.
They lost 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And fine. So to me, he's going to get in. This was their point of telling him, we're going to slap your hand for it.
I love that. That's a great zag, Rhea. Yeah, and I feel like, I feel like if that's the reason why people didn't vote for him, they should just cut. If they came out and said that, there's no transparency with it where you don't know who voted for what. So I think that's great. If Rhea was on the Hall of Fame committee and she came out and said, I'm making him wait for a year because of this, then I would say, okay, I can actually understand that versus just the mystery surrounding it. And I do agree with Rhea about kind of the hoity-toity nature of the Hall of Fame and everybody going crazy. It's like everybody relax. It's a museum in Canton you're probably never going to go to. We'll figure it out in a year. Let's move on to the next step.
All right, Sheil, let's hit a couple other quickies. Joel's playing really good these days. So value's there again. Not where it was 2 years ago, but it's much better than 3 months ago. If you could dump Joel just to get out from the contract, you get like a second-round pick back. Just boom, contract gone. 3 years, $188 million left. Would you dump him just to rid the contract and open that up for Maxey and Embiid's future? Maxey and Edgecombe's future.
Probably a couple months ago, I would have said yes. That would be a best-case scenario. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of enjoying this Sixers season. I know they're not a great team. I know they're not elite, but I always judge the Sixers and my NBA fandom based on, hey, it's a random Tuesday in January. Do I want to sit down and spend time with these people? And I had a good time last night. I'm taking my daughter to the game Saturday, and I'm not telling you they're going to win the East or they're a real contender. But I would pray. It depends on what you get back. Like you said, if it's just a salary,
I'd say it's nothing.
If it's nothing, I'm a no. Yeah, I would say just, see how it goes here the next year or two. It's probably going to be an albatross after that. But let's see if you can catch some lightning in a bottle for the next year or two.
Sheil, Phillies. Being the biggest Phillies fan, perhaps other than Phil Martelli, what's your reaction to no Harrison Bader?
You got to feel like they misread the market. I would say, wait, that's what he signed for? And then didn't you sign Garcia for the same thing? And Garcia was one of the worst hitters in baseball last year. So I understand last year was an outlier season for Harrison Bader. So I understand the argument that you don't want to buy high when a guy's coming off a career year. But if the price is the same as the guy you're buying low on, who was terrible, then I don't get it. So, yeah, it's very simple to me. Would I rather have Bader
Sheil, to be fair, it may be that Bader misread the market. I mean, Garcia signed a whole month before Bader. This might be Bader thinking he was going to get 3 and 45, and the Phillies saying to him the first week of free agency, like, dude, I need you to sign soon, and if you don't, I'm getting someone else. I mean, maybe Bader misread it.
Yeah, I think that's clear. I think he probably went into it expecting more, but it's got to be on both sides. So here, let's do this. Let's have the Giants have a terrible first half of the season. All-Star break comes around. We trade for him again. He injects some juice into the clubhouse there, and everybody's happy. How
there you go. All right, Sheil, final thing. Are you with me that it's ridiculous that there's now going to be a Dirty Dancing sequel with Jennifer Grey, but without Patrick Swayze, who died?
Jennifer Grey doesn't even look like Jennifer Grey.
Are you with me? Sheil?
Joe, I was just debating whether I admit it, but I've never seen Dirty Dancing.
Good for you.
You're not missing much,
Good
Sheil.
for you.
You're a bad human. Bad human. Bad human.
I can't give you a strong feeling there one way or the other.
Well,
That's the way it was for me, too.
disgusted.
About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
ask your wife.
Okay, I'll ask her if she's in on the sequel or not. I'll get back to you next week.
All right, pal. Thanks, Sheil. Hey, Sheil, have a great time, man. We'll talk to you next week.